What are you doing currently? I mean, typically investors tend to lay a particular ground rule that my investment in a particular stock will not go above 10%, 15%, 20%, 25%, what have you, whatever the number may be. In your case, how are you approaching sizing of your investments, considering the kind of blowout rally that we've had?
Yes, I think that is one of the trickiest part as a fund manager, because problem is you tend to get money at all points in time. So you can't just rely that, okay, I got this stock 5 years back, it was that cheap, and it has gone up 5x or 10x. It tend to get higher in your portfolio, right? But see, you can't get comfort just because your buying price is so low. That is generally the bias that sets in. That's an like anchoring bias, right? You have to evaluate at this point in time. I mean, 5 years back, if the valuation was one third, and then the growth potential was much higher because of the sort of smaller size, you thought that the allocation of 7% in the portfolio was right. Today, the valuation, say, has gone up by 3x. And at the same time, the growth potential has come down just because of maturity of that business. It's already, done so well. I mean, rationally, if you think, your allocation has to be lower, right? But so that's what you need to look at, at every point in time from here on, because as a fund manager, you can only look forward. You can't just make decisions based on what happened in the past. And because you do get new investors at every point in time, it becomes even more important, because just because an old portfolio has an allocation of 15% to a stock, do I dare to start that 15% allocation to a new investor? Generally the answer is no. And if the answer is no, then you need to think deeper. Why no? Right? If you think that one portfolio has an allocation of 15%, it makes sense to have that allocation. Why shouldn't a new portfolio have that allocation? Right? As soon as you start fearing because the valuation is high, then it makes sense for even the older portfolio to trim the allocation, because it is probably not as attractive compared, because after all, it's the hierarchy within your portfolio, right? The most attractive returning stock has to have the highest allocation, right? And when you start thinking from that perspective and not just be passive that, okay, just because allocation has gone to 50%, let me have it at 15%. I have to set up an hierarchy that the highest, wherever my expectation of returns are the highest, that has to have the highest allocation. And you need to think about your portfolio allocation at every point in time. You can't just rely on your buying price, because I have seen a lot of investors think in this term, is that if the portfolio doubles, and they sell half of it, they think that the remaining investment is almost risk-free, right? Which is not. I mean, at every point in time, you have an option to sell the entire position and invest in something else, because you just have to think forward, and that's what is the rational thinking without bringing in your emotions.
Yeah, I hear this from so many people, that I had 100 shares, it doubled, I sold 50, and my remaining investment is free, I'll let it ride. I heard so many retail investors tell this to me. It's not funny.
Yeah, because I mean, even from the remaining, you should expect to make the same returns as you expect from the profit that you book, because after all, it's your capital. I mean, you have the option to completely get cash from it.
Yeah. So Samit, have you had to make a few or a lot of changes in order to keep the highest allocation to themes which you believe from here on will give you the highest return? Have you had to make changes in the last 12 months because of individual idiosyncratic rallies in stocks or sectors or themes?
So in terms of strategy, there is no change at all. I mean, I still look for saying that, the earnings should double in the next 3 to 4 years, because the expected returns are around that, 22, 25%. And so in terms of that, definitely things haven't changed. But surely, I mean, the valuations across stocks have gone up. So I mean, what valuations you got 2 years back, most of the stocks are trading probably 50 to 100% higher valuations than the pre-COVID level. Forget about the March level. So accordingly, you have to make sure that your allocation to those stocks go down. just because, and many of the stocks have gone up 7-8x even from the pre-COVID level. So, as we spoke earlier, their attractiveness from future returns definitely has gone down. So accordingly, your allocation to those stocks have gone down. So, I mean, the only change would be that, you would have more broader portfolio. If I had, say, 13, 14 stocks today, I may have 17, 18 stocks. Just because you want to spread out the risk, you don't find any one stock that attractive enough that you want to allocate, say, 10% or 15% to that. So the natural result of that is that your portfolio becomes broader base. The other change we had to make is, because we do have a small cap portfolio, right? So there is just that liquidity becomes a much bigger issue, as you tend to get more money because of your performance. And because of that, we just in May took a decision to stop taking in new money, because the more money I take, it's a huge expense to the returns. So the returns drag down. And there are I mean, I've said this in multiple of interviews, is that I've seen in my experience that when you try to buy 1% of a company, the impact cost is 15 to 20%. And sometimes when you try to get out, it could be even higher, right? So, I mean, in the small cap, you already crossed 500 crores. And given that you invest max in 20 companies, in each company, you need to invest at least 25 crores, and 25 crore becomes more than 1% in many companies. So your universe tend to shrink significantly. And accordingly, if you just focus on your sort of fee generation for your business, you can manage 3x, 4x, 5x money in the same strategy. But the penalty will be to the investors, which I don't want to provide them.